So they talked yesterday. He talked Monday. We played some of the clips, and we teed him up and told you, like, neither one of these coaches are ever going to give you something for the other side. They know how to play it. They're professionals. Signetti's in his 60s. He's won everywhere he's gone. And I want to get to Indiana, but I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Not us locally, although I think you could make an argument that we should be included in this. This is a massive game that feels like it's lacking juice. And I'm not saying you don't care. I'm not saying the Duck fans don't care. But just take our shows and then even add the national narrative stuff.
Right.
Penn State week, it was every single day hitting on the game. Build up, build up, build up, build up. Now, the whiteout certainly helps, right? Going to the road environment, the game of games on TV. This one is also, by the way, a top 10 matchup.
I believe it's the only top 10 matchup in the sport this weekend, if I'm not
yeah,
wrong.
there's two other ranked
matchups, but not top 10.
Not top 10.
Yeah.
And Indiana's coming off of a bye week, beat Iowa, and the week before that pummeled Illinois by 50 points.
A ranked team, they beat them by 50.
And everybody going into that game was like, Illinois is going to do to Indiana what Indiana ended up doing to Illinois. And I can't quite put my finger on it. We'll have to ask the commissioner of this, too, because as you noted off the air, his Tuesday show is kind of an underrated preview program for him. And he didn't even bring up Oregon, Indiana.
No, he saved it for tonight's show.
This just kind of feels, fair or not fair, like it's lacking juice despite how kind of big the circumstances are and where both teams are at.
So I think there's truth on both sides of this. For one, there has to be a little bit of juice considering game day is in town. So I have to give it like that level of credit.
Yes, I will lend you that.
Game day is here, and I'm like, all right, there's a little bit of juice there.
But the build-up.
The talk from a national standpoint about this game, I agree with you 100%. And the only thing that comes to my mind on why that is, and I don't know if this is a fair thing to bring up, I don't know if it has any impact on the game on Saturday. We saw Indiana twice last year play a team that had a championship-level roster. Twice. And it did not go well for them in either game. Now, again, I don't know how the games are going to go on Saturday. I think Indiana's better than they were a year ago. I think their quarterback is better than it was a year ago. And I think their defense is incredibly underrated the more I've dug into them and looked into them going into this weekend's game.
Yeah.
But I think that is, if I'm trying to pinpoint why that is, one, it's you don't have a lot of brand household recognition name with Indiana football. Penn State football is one of the most recognizable brands that exists, in a whiteout game in front of 100,000 people. Like, that's going to bring juice just on its own. And then you add the fact that Oregon and winning the Big Ten, the rematch and all that stuff. That's just going to be great from the get-go. This one, Indiana doesn't have the household name, and we saw them in this spot twice last year, and they didn't look like they belonged on the same field. And it's not to take away from Indiana of the great season that they had. They were deserving of being in the playoff, but they were undefeated. I think 10-0 went on the road to Ohio State. The game was essentially over at halftime. And then they put lipstick on a pig at the end of the Notre Dame game, scoring 2 touchdowns in the last 4 minutes. That was 28-3 with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in their first playoff game. And so I'm just trying, because you brought this up yesterday, and I thought, you know what, you're right. There's not a lot of national juice on this game.
There's no history between these two teams. Yeah. Like, even with Oregon, they met in the Big Ten title game last year.
With Penn State.
You had the Rose Bowl game in 95.
2004, sir.
How do you forget? Come on.
5 turnover game. Hello.
I was there.
Yeah. People have joked that was the last time a Big Ten team beat Oregon at Autzen, and then everybody reminded them quickly that Washington is in the Big Ten, and they beat you at Autzen.
Well, as a Pac-12
team. The only 2 games before that were 63 and 64.
Yeah, look, I think there's kind of a sprinkling of truth to all of this, right? The history doesn't exist.
Like, how do you guys feel about Indiana? Do you feel Indiana's a legitimate national title contender?
So Indiana now is 1-3 against top 10 teams.
Yeah, they've never, by the way, beaten a top 5 team in the history of their school. I think they have the longest. I heard the stat this week. I think it's 0-46 against top 5 teams.
Well, I have some Indiana stats and some stuff I want to get to coming up next. But like, in terms of what we're talking about specifically, the juice, no juice, I think the tough part is just because this has been such a quick flash to being good team that makes playoff and is back in that conversation in year 2.
Nothing to something this rapid.
And because Penn State, we went into the Penn State game and we talked about all of the different little angles and matchups, and is this finally Franklin's year to win that one game? And we do it. I want to see you do it, bud.
Yeah.
And for 3 quarters, it was Oregon bludgeoning Penn State. You're not going to do anything. We're going to go up 17-3. Cut. Okay, they win in double overtime. I think because of what you point to there, what Penn State's history is the only reason this from a national narrative, because you're right, game day's going there, so touche on that. But I think the buildup, man, I saw a million Oregon-Penn State things the week of Oregon-Penn State, including on our show.
Mm-hmm.
Like, every single day of that week, we had stuff.
Yeah, and this game might be a tougher game.
Exactly. Maybe Indiana will come in here and push Oregon, and it comes down to the wire, and it's like, oh, my God, they survived Indiana, or, hey, Indiana with the upset. Either way, I think it's because we don't trust what we've seen yet. It has not been long enough of established success. And I think if you were to measure it, you just say 5-star, 4-star, portal, 3-star, right? That's kind of how you view Indiana largely.
Sure.
And they're successful. They're winning their games. They handled their Illinois business. But I think it's similar to the Illinois game last year. Illinois came in as a good team with a good record ranked.
Yeah, they were top 15, I want to say, at that time, top 20.
That game didn't really have a lot of juice, and it ended up being kind of an ugly game. I don't know if that's going to be the same because, again, to be fair to Indiana, they handled Illinois. But,
yes,
yeah, I think it's kind of a sprinkling of all of that, which is why it lacks some of the gravitas that a whiteout Oregon-Penn State game had.
Well, and look, we also have to be honest, and this is not just the case in college football. It's the case in all of sports. Brands matter, and Indiana football is not a brand. It just isn't. Maybe if Signetti's there for 5 years and they continue on this trajectory and they keep doing this, they'll turn into a brand eventually. Like, I'm excited to see the Blue Jays in the ALCS. We'd all be lying to ourselves to say New York being in the ALCS is more juice for the sports crowd than it is for the Blue Jays, and that's no offense to the Blue Jays.
Well, this happens in every sport,
This is every
right?
sport,
Every
right?
league.
So, like, if you insert any other Big Ten team here that has the same resume and same record as Indiana. If this is Ohio State, if this is Penn State as we're highlighting, if this is Michigan undefeated, if the Wisconsin even, like if it's Nebraska, like all of those programs carry more weight than Indiana does, just from a name recognition standpoint. Indiana football is one of the worst in all of college football. Their history is as bad as literally anybody. So that's part of this for me too. And I think to add on top of that, what they desperately need to change that and to have juice, they need a win.
They
like
need
this
one,
And I don't even know if they need to win this game. I think they can get moral victory points out of this game. If this comes down to the wire, Oregon kicks a last-second field goal and it's 38-35, and they show they can go on the road and hang with a team with the talent composite of Oregon's level, I think it wakes everybody up to say, wow, okay, Indiana can hang in that environment. Maybe they can do something this year. If they go in and lose this game and it's 45-21 and never really close, and Oregon jumps on them, and Mendoza looks overwhelmed, and the line of scrimmage play is a big gap, they're not going to have any juice in their remaining games, and they will be the same Indiana for a lot of people from a year ago.
I think that's very fair. I do think Wisconsin is established as they were for such a long time. I think, look, right now it doesn't help that they've hit the skids and they got the wrong coach and culture fit and all that.
It's ugly right now.
But I think even if this was Wisconsin at this ranking, Wisconsin kind of had a little bit of this Indiana stuff, right? They were consistently very good.
But not great.
But never truly great for most people. Think about the last year for Anderson. Anderson's at Wisconsin. He gets to a Big Ten title game. What was the final of that game?
59-0, I believe.
So, like,
that
Wisconsin
was the Cardale Jones Big Ten title game.
Is a more established version of this in many ways. Like, even the years they get to the Rose Bowl, it wasn't like it was Wisconsin, some juggernaut undefeated team. It was, hey, Wisconsin's here because Ohio State can't be here because they're too good. They need to go to the other game. And so, like, I think even Wisconsin and their nature of, like, we run the football with big guys. It's like,
it's just boring.
How exciting is that, buddy? Like, I think even Wisconsin, to your point, there's a little
fair.
more.
Wisconsin could definitely be in that category, too,
But I want to know from Duck fans out there, because I know you guys out there rooting for your team.
Oh, we're sickos. We're diving into it. I watched a 45-minute film breakdown of this game yesterday.
Great. I want to hear from you guys where you're at on the juice or national noise of the game, because even though game day is coming to town, it doesn't feel like it's quite grabbed the rest of the narrative storylines, as you pointed out. It's the only top 10 ranked matchup on the docket this weekend.
And game day only went because Texas lost. If Texas had beaten Florida, they would have been at the Red River game.
Very fair.